So today's episode is going to be on replacing the wheel hub / wheel bearing on your 2014, 2019 Mazda 6. But new wheel hub on the passenger side. Wheel bearing had a lot of play. And yeah, I destroyed getting it off because I didn't want to drive on it with a lot of play, because the only thing holding your wheel on is your wheel bearing. Your wheel bearing, your hub assembly is the only thing holding your wheel on. Your wheel come flying off. So if you ever go get an inspection and they say that your wheel hub or your wheel bearing need to be replaced, you need to replace it, because if it comes loose, your wheel is coming off. So wheel bearing, wheel hub, if it has play, you need to replace it because your wheel will come off. Then I'm also going to replace the driver's side one. That way I know that both have been done. But regardless whether it has play or not, it is getting replaced with TRQ wheel hub. My lower control arms are TRQ. They've been on here for 100,000 miles and they've been fine. So that only leads me to believe that their wheel hub, wheel bearing assembly is going to be just fine too. So on this car, the hub and the bearing is all one assembly. It's 4 bolts that attach it on. So what we're going to need for that is a 12 millimeter for the ball joint bolt. You're going to need a 32 millimeter for the axle nut. And then the bolts that hold the wheel bearing on is a 14 millimeter. By the way, I do have a video on jack points. If you need to know jack points and methods for getting your car off the ground. Quite frankly, if you can't jack your car up, put it on jack stands, and if you can't get the wheel off, you might not want to be tackling a job of doing wheel bearings. That's just words of advice. If you live up north or somewhere where they do a bunch of they do a bunch of salt and your stuff rusts, taking the lower ball joint out might not be viable for y'all rusty people. If I can take the axle out, it will make my life. Is my bag deflated? Nope. Oh, can I get the axle out? Oh yeah. Should have let the air out my bag. All right, cool. Oh, that made it a whole lot easier. My 14 mil on my impact. So let's see if we can get this knocked off. Oh, this impact is a little too big. I need to turn this wheel hub. All right, that's 2. That's 3. All right, so that's all 4. I back the nuts out until they are flush with the front plate. And what I'm going to do is take my hammer and I'm going to hit the bolts to break it loose from the spindle. And you see that it is now loose. Now, I don't know any other way that you will go about getting the hub broke free from the spindle other than doing it that way. Primitive, yes. Effective, yes. So, get these out. Always make sure that the threads work with the new part, because I've had a couple of parts where for whatever reason they just didn't pitch the right threads in the part that I was replacing. Why is that still tight? So I am going to make sure that all that works and fits and cooperates before. Take note that the shield faces backwards, and then the shield just slides off. Didn't need to be replaced, but since I did the passenger side, do the driver side, do stuff in pairs, that way it should be on the same schedule. I always like to take the new part and the old part and compare them, make sure they look the same, make sure they're roughly the same size. Probably most importantly, make sure they are the same bolt pattern. We are going to take the shield, put it on there, get the bolts to line up. Don't hit your wheel sensor. So mine wasn't too bad. Just one of those, you know, while you're in there things. Just gonna take the bolts, put them back in. Again, for alignment reasons, in near future you will love you for it. If you had 3 hands, it would make it a lot easier. So we're just going to get them a couple of threads in. Nothing serious, just a couple, because I do want to make sure that I pull this in evenly to the spindle. Where's my 14 at? I'm just going to take my socket and I'm going to just evenly tighten these bolts up, so that way it pulls the hub in evenly and not cockeyed like your ex-girlfriend. Where's that bolt? Oh no. And then just go around and just make sure that they are all snug. And I think these are supposed to be torqued down to 90 foot-pounds. So I'm going to grab my torque wrench, and this is going to be a tight spot. I have a pretty long torque wrench, so this is going to be a pretty tight spot to torque them down. I'm letting you know now, I typically don't torque stuff like this. I just ugga dugger it. Ooh, I said it with the hard R. Ugga dugger it, and be done with it. But for the purpose of this video, I will try to torque wrench it. But anything you do, it's your responsibility, none of mine. Torque wrench, set at 90. All right, so that's 1. All right, that's 2. All right, all right. So I like to go back and check everything, because sometimes when you tighten something, it can make something else loose. So I like to do a verification. All right, that's 1. That's 2. That's 3. Where that bottom one at? Oh, there we go. That's 4. Wheel hub, wheel bearing is installed. 90 foot-pounds on each one, torqued down. So now let's get the axle in. So get the ball joint lined up. I think that's hard enough. Not quite. bad, not good. All right, so use the jack for leverage and then give it some taps and it goes right on in. All right, and that's it. So if you were looking for a video on how to replace the wheel hubs in your garage on jack stands with pretty much basic stuff. I mean, the only thing that's, I guess, that is not basic would be an impact. Like I said, this is torqued to 200 foot-pounds from the factory. So you're gonna need something that can probably bust off at least 300-400. If this video helped you or whatever, leave a comment with your make and model. If this process was about the same. If it didn't help you, let me know why. I don't know how to improve on stuff unless you tell me what I did wrong. If I did something right, let me know. I'll keep doing it. I'm shiny. So, like everything you do, think, build, and then after you build it, fix it, repair it, whatever the case may be, enjoy it.